This is Wandering Universe. In this video, I'll be unraveling the mystery of the second largest pyramid, known as Khafre Pyramid. We'll be taking a look at the interior structure of this pyramid and for what purpose it was used. So, let's go exploring. Yep, you know what this is, so let's move right along. And this is the other side, showing this side of the Khafre Pyramid, and now we're going to go right inside to do a little bit of exploring. So that is one of the passageways. It is very steep. You actually have to bend down, or should I say bend over quite a bit in a squatting position as you walk down those steps to get to one of the chambers. And apparently it's quite warm inside, so to speak. There are 3 new tombs inside the Khafre Pyramid. Khafre Pyramid base length is 215.5 meters and rises up to a height of 136.4 meters. It is mostly made of limestone blocks, each weighing more than 2 tons. The slope of the pyramid rises at 53 degrees at a 13-degree angle. It sits on bedrock, 10 meters higher than Khufu pyramid. Well, obviously it gives the illusion, and it is an optical illusion when you see it from afar, that it is taller than the main Great Khufu pyramid. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, and this illustrates just that. The date that mainstream archaeologists have put, the time that it was built and opened, approximately 2570 BC. That's what they said, not me. That's what they said. And it is shaped like an apex. I'll illustrate this in another photo. This photo was taken in 1870. I like these black and white photographs because you get a look how it was back then to how it is now. So you can see here that there's a lot of clearing. The sand has been removed, a lot of it, from the bottom level base of the pyramids. Back then there was still quite a bit. So there's you can spot the difference here between what's down here and in this photograph as well. You can see a little bit more of this, but back then not much. It may seem rough and irregular the first half, but as it goes up in height, the narrow band becomes more regular, shown in the midsection of the pyramid. Bottom course of casing stones are made of pink granite, and the remainder out of Tura limestone. Some of the edges were not perfectly cut. Maybe this is a possibility to make some room for error due to seismic activity such as earthquakes, for example. That's just a theory. I'm not sure if it is true or it is factual. That needs further investigating. I'll show you what I mean. This is the interior of the Great Pyramid. This is not the interior of the Khafre Pyramid as yet. I will get to that shortly. But this is just an example of casing stones. As you can see, very, very smooth, lined up perfectly, slotted tightly into place, no air to escape. And remember I said that when you walk inside one of the passageways, it feels very warm as you get closer to the chamber. Here's why. There are 2 entrances to the chambers, one at 11.54 meters up to the face of the pyramid and one that opens at the base of the pyramid. Now, this is the side view. This is what I'm talking about here. That's the limestone cap. A lot of it has been removed for some strange reason. And this is what they're talking about. It looks rough and uneven and very messy on the outside, but look at the midsection here. It looks very neat, very tidy, and very well slotted into place for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that's how it looks now. And this part hasn't been removed at all. Maybe there was something else encased on top of it. I'm not sure why, but I'll look into it a little later. This is what I'm talking about. That's the apex, and at the apex, this is what it looks like close up. So it looks even. From my point of view, it looks very even here, the way these stone blocks have been laid out. But it looks very smooth. It must have been really smoothed out with something else laid on top of it. That was plastered over it, some sort of limestone casing or plastering on top of it to really smooth out the wrinkles, like ironing a bed sheet. And you can see underneath the casing, it looks very uneven. Maybe over time, over centuries, when this structure was abandoned, some of the stones may have fallen off over time. It could have been that people climbed on the pyramid and taken some stone blocks. Unlikely. They would have to be really super fit. Or it could have been some earth movement going on. Or, this is hypothetical, I'm not saying it's true, but it could have happened. It would have been blasted off by a laser device. Think about that. This is one of the interior passageways of inside Khafre Pyramid, and I'm going to get into that now. The passageways don't align with the center line of the pyramid, but they are offset to the east by 12 meters. I'll show you another interior. This is one of the chambers. I'm not sure which one. It just looks like it's a bit, I don't know, incomplete. It hasn't finished the final stages of construction here. I'm not sure why. Or maybe something was purposely chiseled away so it doesn't leave its mark. Interesting. The lower descending passageway is carried out of bedrock, running horizontal as you're descending to join the horizontal passage leading to the chamber. Here's another example here. I'm not sure if this is the main passageway that leads to the main chamber. I haven't been there myself yet, but if you have, please let me know in the comments section. And this is one of the refurbished tombs inside the Khafre Pyramid, if so. If not, please let me know. But as you can see, according to the artwork, whoever did this artwork did a damn good job. I tell you, really, really articulate, really precise, and quite cartoonish, if you ask me. The bodies look like they're twisted from one side, the way they're positioned, because their shoulders are too broad, and the eyes are too to the side. Maybe it's trying to mock us humans for some reason. I don't know. Mimic, mock us? I don't know. But inside here, this tomb looks very elaborate. So it's a well done job. Even if you look at this entrance doorway, I must say, very well constructed, very precise. The way whoever did this. There is a subsidiary chamber similar in length to the King's Chamber in Khafre, opens to the west of the lower passage. The upper descending passage is clad in granite and descends to join the horizontal passage to the chamber. And I'll illustrate this to you. Here it is. This is the main chamber. I'm not sure what this is saying. Some sort of weird graffiti on this wall. Whoever did it ought to be punished. But, you know, if they're trying to depict something or rebel against authority, well, who cares? But it looks very smoothed out. The roof section, the ceiling section of this chamber, the walls are very smooth, very solid, and made out of limestone and granite. Pretty impressive job, may I say. Really, really impressive. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. The chamber itself is carved out of bedrock. The roof is made of gabled limestone beams. The chamber is rectangular, 14.15 meters by 5 meters, is orientated to the east-west. Now, here's an illustration of 3 of the pyramids in the area, in the necropolis. This is the Great Pyramid, the largest. The second largest, I noticed here that the passages are very different to the Great Pyramid for some interesting, fascinating reason. I think there's a reason for this. And the Menkaure period is kind of similar to Khafre, the way it's been drawn out here architecturally. They call these chambers. There's something else. They're not chambers, they're not tombs, they're entirely something different. So even though it may look different, uniquely different, all 3 of them, and I'm talking about the interior, the outer casing of the pyramids are almost the same. So they share something in common, but the interior is very unique in every single one of them. And this is a architectural illustration of the inside of Khafre pyramid. The passageways are at the lower end or the bottom end of the pyramid here. There's no middle chamber whatsoever, but the chamber is right at the bottom base of this pyramid towards bedrock. It could be that these passages, and there might be more, I'd say underneath this pyramid, that there would have been water running beneath this pyramid, I'd say, but they're all blocked off for some unknown reason. The center line of the pyramid is facing the south side. One of the 2 passages comes to a dead end. Okay, I don't know why. One explorer named John Greaves in 1646 wrote in his book Pyramidographia, said that stones weren't as big or well laid as Khufu's. The surface of this pyramid was smooth and free of inequalities except on the south side. And I think he's talking about the outer casing that's missing here. The pyramid was first explored by Giovanni Belzoni on March the 2nd, 1818. He was in search of finding, believe it or not, a burial tomb, but it came up empty. All he found was an open sarcophagus and a broken lid on the floor. It may possibly due to grave robbers who were desperately in need to pay off their debts to loan sharks at the time. What that illustrates is that there could have been an economic depression and a civil war uprising, maybe at the end of the Old Kingdom, during the Middle Kingdom, and in the New Kingdom, the last kingdom. So that would illustrate that things financially weren't so prosperous back then. I like this photo actually. This is a black and white photo taken in the early 19th century. Facing Khufu Pyramid is this pit. I don't know what it is. Is this the entranceway heading towards the bottom part of Khufu? I don't know. You tell me. Remember, the interior of the Khafre's chamber is made entirely of hard granite. I'll illustrate this here. This is the sarcophagus. That's the lid. Looks like it's been restored recently. If there was a photograph, black and white photograph, that showed that the lid did move to one side, because you've got to remember granite is incredibly heavy to lift. You need more than 2 people to lift it. It's a very heavy stone block to carry. I find it absolutely impossible that humans actually lifted the stone lid off this sarcophagus to rob something. What were they trying to find inside that sarcophagus? There's nothing inside the sarcophagus that they wanted to find. Maybe jewelry, maybe a mummy that carried certain amulets on its body. I don't know. but I just find it hard to believe that they could lift this lid off the sarcophagus. I really find it hard to believe. And I'll illustrate this because this is hard granite, and I'll illustrate this inside. This is inside the pyramid of Khafre, and once again this is another diagram depicting the passages that lead to the center. It's slightly off center here. That's interesting, this chamber, and I can tell the lower passages do lead to other subterranean tunnels underneath this pyramid. They do. I know they do. And I reckon these passages are ventilation shafts. Okay? Because these pyramids would trap a lot of heat. They would. Especially when tourists have gone inside and they said it gets warm as they get inside the chamber. That's very interesting. So, were these bedrock subterranean chambers used for ventilation? These shafts, passageways, chambers and tunnels were not served for royal family burial rites. It was for something else entirely different. Okay, think about that one for a moment. In Khafre, in the Queen's Chamber, archaeologists have found a granite sapphire and a copper hook. Now, this is a real kicker. You've seen this photo before. This has been announced years ago in mainstream media. This is a granite block or a limestone block door inside a ventilation passage. These are copper handles. They're not hooks, they're handles. This looks like a lever where you lift up. This looks like a handle where you possibly move the block towards the body, or you move it further away from the body. It has oxide over the centuries. That is normal. Oxidation does occur in copper. Gold doesn't, silver doesn't. It lasts a lot longer. What's interesting here is that I reckon this door can be moved. It can, but there may have been something attached here that moved this block. And I reckon it may be the amount of heat that was emanating from the chamber, and it was coming out, so it had to move the block further away so it doesn't allow an eruption inside the chamber. Think of Chernobyl. And then when the water underneath the subterranean chamber cooled the center off, then they moved the door further towards the middle of the chamber. Okay, so think about that for a moment, but I find that quite fascinating. Only one object in the king's chamber was the red granite sarcophagus, empty and damaged to one side. I'm talking about the Great Pyramid here, and let me show you a photo. This is the granite sarcophagus found in Khafre Pyramid. Very precise cut, don't you think? Very precise. Look how accurate it is through granite. Okay, never mind the chipped edges. That's deterioration over time. That's normal on granite surfaces. I'm talking about this, how this was cut. So precise, you don't even see a millimeter of ridges, right? It's smooth as a baby's bottom, right? Here's another one. This is what I'm talking about. This may have been damaged through something else, but it wasn't done by us. And look how smooth this floor is. You could virtually skate on it. I mean, if you got a mop and bucket, you could clean this floor to high mirror shine and skate on it. Absolutely immaculate. Even this one in Khafre. So I'm just giving you a comparison so you can look at from both pyramids, the interior of it, including this one as well. Very similar in color, I find. Look how similar in color it is. This looks like red granite. This looks like kind of like a brown, reddish type of granite color. Even the walls are very smooth too. People have tried slotting a credit card in these grooves. Nada. Absolutely nothing. You can't even push it in. That's how tight, firmly tight these granite blocks are. Incredible. No mummies or graves were ever found inside those pyramids. I'm talking about all three. It's impossible to crane and haul a sarcophagus. Okay, I'll repeat this again. It's impossible to crane and haul a sarcophagus all the way up to the damn chamber to fit it right in that interior chamber. Right? How can it be possible? Through here. You tell me. How can it be possible? Through this. Right? How can it be possible? Egypt, during its time in history, was the richest and most powerful country in the world, thanks to gold, silver, spices, textiles, and gemstones imported from the East and Northern African regions. It is mainly an arid, dry place. Remember that stand these beautiful pyramids that have stood the test of time. But a civilization has already existed way before the nomadic Egyptian tribes colonized the country. Okay? Think about this, and think about this once again. The pyramids were built from the Old Kingdom and close to the Ptolemaic period. Now, the estimated date is around 4,000 years old, but I'll put a question mark next to that. Do the pyramids truly represent the kings and queens of Egypt? Were they merely built for them to bury them as an unforgotten legacy? Egyptian society certainly had a hierarchical structure to sustain its massive growing population, but little history about their economic thinking seems, well, very flaky. I know for a fact us humans did not build these magnificent feats of engineering, not even out of modern machines and tools that we use today back then. There is no writing on the wall indicating any of this, and there isn't up until now. And I'll show you this once again. Okay, think about that. Think about that. Okay, how can it be possible? Okay, how can we do this? Just by sheer primitive tools, primitive technology. How can it be possible? Especially this. Doing it this way. How can it be possible? And by the way, where do they get trees? They would have just felled thousands upon thousands of trees that they would have dragged from thousands of miles away. How can that be possible? Well, if it wasn't us, here's a little teaser. Yes. In the next video, I'll be discussing one of the strangest looking but a fascinating structure that was built around the time of the pyramids, the obelisks. That's all for now.